Thank you, Noesis, for inviting us on this stage. So we are going to talk about the AI at the vision. So the vision, the future. When we talk about the future, okay, it's very important to realize that we are not very good at the vision. We are not very good at the future vision. And I have a couple of messages here. For example, the IBM founder, Watson, said, okay, we have room for only five computers in the world. Now we have something like 9 billion of these small computers in our pockets. But also we have that these statements in 1936, no rocket will leave the Earth. They didn't know about Elon Musk and how stubborn is he to leave the Earth. So what is clear that the future in AI is like this. What is this? Okay, it is AI, of course. That's why we are here in this AI event. But it's hybrid, and for us in Red Hat is very important. When we say hybrid in Red Hat, means different infrastructures. You want to run your models on-premise or in the cloud. You want to train your models on-premise or in the cloud. So that's why it's hybrid. And the future is going to be hybrid because of data regulation, like Frank was saying before, because of data intimacy, sovereignty, and so on. But what is important and why this is the reason Red Hat is here, everything is going to be based in open source. And we will explain about this. And Frank mentioned about ChatGPT increasing the pricing. So we can have some issue with the lock-in. Remember the past lock-in of the big names? I cannot say in public, but you know all of them. So open source is always a key component for having the freedom to change or the freedom to have different things. Going to the business, we have some reports where we have that something like 90% of SIOs, they think that it's good to invest in AI, even there are some risks. We have the example of Bayer some moments ago. There are risks, there are issues that they are not working, but at the end it is worthy. Why it's worthy? We will see some benefits later on. But the reality of today, this is not a vision, is that 55% of the CIOs say that they're investing on AI. Almost 60%, they're dedicating 5% of the budget, so it's a huge number for this, okay? And 40% are looking for expanding the use. So this is the present. But as Luis was mentioning, we are in the hype. In the hype, it means that it's true, it's worthy to invest, but we have the freedom on how we can progress. And this is what we are going to talk in the following slides. Because it's true that AI is going to help the organization. This is a must. AI now is helping because it can make a differentiation in the companies. Because you have your data, it's your own data, so you can make different things versus your competitor. It increases the experience with your users, customers, and so on. And at the end, it drives efficiencies. More on this later on. Okay, so some use cases from real customers from Red Hat. The first one, this one is a hospital, a healthcare entity, where we're taking information from patients, from the clinical records, from the X-rays, from, let's say, blood testing and so on. They create a model to identify the risk of suicide, but at the very early phase of this, when the person was still in the hospital. So this is very important because you are saving lives. And here, at the end, AI is helping a lot. It's not only about cost, it's not only about money, it's also about saving lives. The one in the middle, is the one that we know the most, about chatbots. Having all the information from the company here and there, and just you make some questions, and you have some answers, okay? But at the end, chatbots should be specialized, okay? So we will talk also about this later on. And finally, also ticketing for citizens. Public sector is leading also the AI use cases. Because public sector, they have these long processes with documentation. We have a case in Spain with a regional entity where every company, when they want to open something in a new area, they need to create the ecosystem, also environmental impact. For that, it takes up to 1 to 2 years to have the approval because of the long cycles, because you have a lot of documentation, paperwork, the public servant need to take a look at it. So with this, say, way of AI looking, summarizing, and giving the spot where you can look, they're saving time for these processes. So ticketing in this case, we're talking of a public entity that reduced from 2 hours to 1 second the answer for the citizen. So it's also some business value in the public arena. But what are the important things for CIOs, for the companies? Okay, This is a report where you can see that the two most important are very related. I start by the second one, cost. Yes, AI is good. The cat that Frank saw is nice, but companies are investing not to have cats, but to reduce the cost. The first one is very related because improve efficiency and productivity at the end is a way of reducing cost. And I highlight this because it's very important in how to approach to the AI in the field. Okay, so starting to go deeper in the solutions. What about AI projects? AI projects is a complex project and it's a digital project, so it requires some things to take a look very carefully. For example, leadership commitment. This is something that it has to be, it's a must. You cannot implement an AI environment, solution, a way to do things in the company if you don't have the support of the whole organization. This is not a departmental initiative. For that also, you need to be focused in the business value. We were mentioning this in the past. Yes, AI is nice, but you need to be sure that the answer is impacting in the business at the end with the metrics, KPIs, and so on. And you need, very important, is to operate at a scale, because it's not the same when you have a model and you deploy the model, okay, but when you want to have this in a company, you want to scale to all the users in the company, all the employees, and you want to use not only one use case, but many use cases. So it's important to take a look at this. These two are related in the sense that if this is creating an advantage, competitive advantage, what you need is to have the skills in-house. And you need to have also the technology that empowers this innovation. So it's important to take a look carefully to these things. And finally, change management. I mean, people is afraid of AI. So you need to mentor them, train them, to make a career path to the people impacted by these changes. So I was saying that we are in the hype. So we have the freedom to start the journey. There are many ways of starting the journey, but there are some basic things to take into account that I will explain in the next slide, okay? But basically, what we need to be aware is we need flexibility. Flexibility, why? Because we are in the hype. So we don't know how it's going to be the products, the solutions in 1 year, in 2 years. So you need to be flexible and to have solutions that are flexible enough. And also you need to optimize your use cases in order to save this cost that we were mentioning earlier. Okay, so things to take a look. This is like the index. I will go deeper in each of them in the next slides, but basically you need to choose the right model. There are many models in the market now. You need to choose the best that fits you. And you have some options. You can build, you can buy, or you can use a partner to build these AI models. You need to tailor your model for your specific use cases, okay? And you need to choose where to deploy. If you have issues with the data, so you need to choose to deploy this on-prem. If you have the data on the cloud, for whatever reason, maybe you need to have the models in the cloud. And finally, as I was mentioning, you need to scale and manage this from the operational perspective, from the day two perspective. This is not creating a model and I forget it. I just make questions and that's it. No, because there are new versions of the model, there are new use cases of the model, so you need to have this also into account. So going deeper in each of them. Selecting the model, okay, there is like an option fatigue in the sense that there are now many things with many names, with many acronyms, many companies and so on, so people is like, it's overwhelmed. But there are 3 points to take into account for this. First, the size of the models. Yes, you can go to ChatGPT and you can ask it to ChatGPT, I want a poem writing in the way of Shakespeare. And it does like that. Summarize this document. It does like that. You can make anything, but this is what you need? No, you have specific use cases. And when you are deploying a huge model, the problem is that you need resources. You need power. You need, at the end, to spend more money. Well, this is contradictory. I mean, we want to reduce cost, but we are going to huge models that require a lot of resources. So we need to take a look to this. Related to this, the purpose. Okay, I mean, I want a model for something very specific. I don't want a model to answer any question that the company may have. No, it's something specific about summarizing, about the environmental impact summaries or whatever, creating like a chat box just to answer where to look for the information. And finally, licensing. Licensing in the sense not only of the acquisition of the software, but also the intellectual property, who is the owner of the output, and very important, who is the owner of the data, and who is the owner of the model and how the model was created. This is very important for example, I have an example. I created like a couple of years ago. Now it's because just the elections, now it's a very hot topic. But a couple of years ago, I created with my daughters, what do you want to ask to this, say, DAL-E? Now put cow ruling the world. And it was a cow in the White House. So, I mean, for this AI intelligence, no, for this artificial intelligence, ruling the world means to be in the White House. I don't have anything against the White House, by the way, but this is the real answer with my daughters a couple of years ago. What I mean is that we don't know how the models are created. We don't know at the end if the answers are good for us or not. So everything, we need to take this into account in order to choose the right way. And talking about this, say, cost and purpose, we need then to think about where we need to end. Because here we have the quality of models, but at the end, the more quality requires more resources, more cost. I have a boss in the past that said, infinite quality take infinity time and cost infinity money. So at the end, maybe we can have a base model, but it's not accurate enough, but it's very cheap. Well, here, we can have a perfect model, but it's very, very expensive. It can answer anything I ask. Maybe the good option is to be in the middle with, for example, this retrieval augmented generation with RAG, okay, with some models where we can align with the less data, get a reasonable, say, cost and a reasonable quality, okay? This is the approach that we in RedHat we have, and then I will show you with our product. Regarding where to deploy, it depends on the regulation. For example, you know the banks, the financial sector, because of DORA, the Resiliency Act, they cannot deploy everything in the cloud. There are other customers that they prefer the cloud, because in the cloud the good thing is that you can scale very quickly, you can use GPUs very cheap, so maybe the cloud is a solution. So at the end, you have to take a look at this. The best option can be something that runs on-premise in your own data center and runs on the cloud. So you can choose depending on the use case, depending on where is the data, and so on. So not just to be tied to one of the infrastructures available. And with that also, you reduce the risk, because there are regulation coming. And regulation is coming, so maybe in 1 year it's forbidden to do in that way and in the other. So also flexibility is something very important to take into account for this point of view for the infrastructure component. So related to open source then, open source gives you this flexibility. We were talking about this cow ruling the world. You know with open source how the model, which is the model, which is the data, how it's trained, and so on, and give you the flexibility to change from one provider to the other, and also to be in the innovation part. You know, open source is leading the innovation in the software for many years. So, day 2, operations. You have your model, you have to train your model, it's up and running. What about the day 2 operations? Maybe you need to adjust the model, so you need to deploy a new model, okay? You need to integrate the model. This AI is not an island. You need to integrate with your current applications, okay? With your current workflows. Why not also to think about maintenance and support? And why not to use the same infrastructure you have already for your other applications? So here, what we see in RedHat is that you need to treat AI as a big application, but use the same platform that you have for your own applications in the way that is going to give you some efficiencies in that area. Okay, I skip this one. How are we approaching this from the RedHat? Okay, we have 2 products. Forget about the product. It's more about the use cases. One is in the operating system in RHEL or Linux, okay, and one is on top of OpenShift, the container platform. So what we think is that here is where you can build models, open source models that we deliver for you. They are supported. And here is where you have the machine learning operations, like the DevOps in the past, now with the machine learning, where you have these day 2 operations solved. A zoom in the part of the Linux. Here, what we deliver is the Granite family. This is an agreement that we have with IBM Research, where we have many models that are open source. Open source the model, open source the data. So you can use them, and you have the security of what is behind these models. We are using this, the Institute Lab, well, I mean, it's retrieval and augmented generative, the RAG, R-A-G, okay, that we give also with the product. because we think that you need to start with small models. I mean, yes, it's large language models, but small models. What I mean is that specific to any use case, where you can improve the answer for specific questions, and it's everything inside this RHEL AI. And of course, here it is a way of RedHat pay my salary is supported, okay? We support for you, it's open source, but you have an issue, we solve it, we make devolution, new versions, and so on. And the intellectual property is open source, so you don't have to take care about of this, and if there is any issue, we can say take care of that. For OpenShift is our container platform. Maybe some of you knows about this platform, but if we have the skills in the platform about DevOps, is pipelines, how to deploy applications, why don't we use the same platform to deliver AI work? So instead of deploying an application, I serve or deploy a model, but the concept is the same, okay? Lifecycle, when I change the version with a pipeline inside my application, why don't you do the same with the AI application, okay? Very important, resource optimization and management. If I need more GPUs, if I need more memory, why don't I ask to the platform in the same way that I do with application? That's why with OpenShift AI, that is the flavor on top of OpenShift, we're addressing these things so you can have a real operational AI environment in your company. So, just to finish then, what we suggest is that we, in RedHat, we are helping our customers to accelerate the AI, say, inside the company because of this open source approach that we have that is running fast, okay? But in a safe way, in the sense that we are supporting this with the good thing that we are providing flexibility where to deploy. You can have this RHEL or OpenShift on-prem, in the cloud, AWS, Microsoft, IBM Cloud, both of them, okay? And also you can deploy at scale because we have the platform to build these AI models in the same way that we are doing with applications. My only Portuguese word, so I'm bom dia, sorry for that. So thank you very much.